Hi, my name is Joseph Parker, WBO champion of the world, and you're watching Sporting Icons.
Okay, so Jared Anderson defeats Prince I Walk This Earth Like a God, Charles Martin. Beats him on points over 10 rounds. Now, there's a lot to talk about as far as this performance is concerned. Now, before the fight, myself and many of you would have picked Jared Anderson to beat Charles Martin. Ultimately, our prediction stuck. He did beat Charles Martin. But a lot of people felt that he should probably steamroll him. Charles Martin ain't exactly the best around the whiskers. Again, Jared Anderson, for all intents and purposes, based on who it is that he's been fighting so far, looks like he punches pretty hard and quite ferocious in that as well. Now, it started off quite well for Jared Anderson when he dropped Charles Martin early in the fight. I think it was round 3, if I remember rightly. It was a good punch. Charles Martin just dropped down to the deck. Charles Martin tried to claim that he got his feet tangled with Jared Anderson. No, he didn't. It was a legitimate punch and he went down. Feet weren't even touching each other. Okay? Is what it is. But Charles Martin gets up, and from round 4 onwards, at times, proper beasts Jared Anderson. Puts it on him. Throws that big southpaw left straight down the pipe and catches Jared Anderson on multiple occasions and hurts Jared Anderson on multiple occasions. That's what a lot of people are focusing on right now, rather than saying, congratulations, you're 23 years old, you're beating a guy who's a former IBF World Heavyweight Champion, congratulations. There's a lot to learn from it, move on, who are you going to fight next? But people want to focus on the fact that he didn't look great against Charles Martin. Reason being, Charles Martin, of course, he's had a few losses himself, where he lost to Anthony Joshua for the IBF World Heavyweight Championship, where Anthony Joshua stopped him in 2 rounds. Charles Martin didn't even land a glove on him. Luis Ortiz stopped Charles Martin. He did. But there again, Charles Martin dropped Luis Ortiz as well. Charles Martin lost to Adam Kownacki. Adam Kownacki, who's just lost his last 4 fights. 3 of them by knockout. So how good is Charles Martin? Jared Anderson should have walked straight through him. That's what a lot of people are saying. People put in the old triangle theory. Triangle theories don't always work. They don't, okay? The heavyweight division, anything can and does happen. One punch changes everything. Charles Martin was actually the one at the deficit. He was the one at the disadvantage coming this one. He went into Jared Anderson's hometown. He was the late call-up. A lot of people, I see it online already, outside of those who are calling Jared Anderson a hype job, which is a little unfair right now, but saying how Jared Anderson, they're giving him like a bit of a pass. Well, Charles Martin, who's a late replacement and all that kind of good stuff, he didn't really have too much time to prepare. All things considered, he'd done all right. Well, he's actually, Charles Martin is the one who's at the disadvantage in this one. He was the one who got the late call-up. He was the one who was not in camp training for a guy like a Jared Anderson, a guy who can switch from orthodox to southpaw. He weren't training for that. Was he even training at all? I don't know. I mean, I believe that he probably would have done because he looked in pretty good nick, but he wouldn't have been preparing for a fight. He didn't have a full training camp himself. Jared Anderson did. Jared Anderson was preparing for Zhan Kossobutskiy, a tall, big-hitting southpaw. And what's Charles Martin? A big southpaw with a pretty decent punch. So Charles Martin's actually a little bit less than Kossobutskiy. Now, based on last night's performance and the way that Jared Anderson was fighting Charles Martin, especially when he was throwing out the big punches and then going back in a straight line with his gloves down, there's a very real chance, if anybody watches Zhan Kossobutskiy, you'll probably feel that Zhan Kossobutskiy would have taken full advantage of that. And he would have probably stopped Jared Anderson. There's a very real chance you could be correct. But there again, woulda, shoulda, coulda, we don't know. There was apparently some visa issues, we don't know. But had it been Zhan Kossobutskiy, my feeling is, yes, there's a very real chance he would have stopped Jared Anderson last night. But that's my honest opinion. But people are a little unfair when it comes to Charles Martin, they are. And I think people need to give Anthony Joshua a little bit of credit for being the one who actually stopped and beat Charles Martin when Charles Martin was undefeated, when he was a lot younger, a lot fresher, a lot more ambitious than what he is now. But Charles Martin, he's been in some very good fights with, like, say, Luis Ortiz. That was decent while it lasted. Against Adam Kownacki, a very good fight. Very good fight, actually. Arguably a fight of the year in the heavyweight division. But people are a little bit unfair on Charles Martin. So in which case they're saying that Jared Anderson is a hype job. Well, The only way to find out is if it's a hype job is let's see what he does next. Let's see who he fights next. Hopefully Top Rank don't put the kid gloves back on him. Hopefully they keep on pushing him forward. Let's see him fight the guy who was on the chief support on that particular card. Russian-Canadian heavyweight, undefeated, Arslanbek Makhmudov. He just defeated a Nigerian fella. Let's see them two fight. Why not? In-house fight, both Top Rank. Okay, Makhmudov is co-promoted by Top Rank and Eye of the Tiger. They can make that fight quite happily. There always seems to be a little bit of beef. If you look at the press conference where Makhmudov was telling Jared Anderson to keep his damn dog away from him, and he moved his chair right the way away. So there could be a little bit of needle there already. Let's see that fight. If not, let's see how he gets on with, say, Fabio Wardley. They're both undefeated. These are the kind of fights I want to see Jared Anderson in there next with. Maybe he's had a bad night at the office. Maybe the pressure of being in front of his own people. Headlining. Maybe there's a lot of pressure for him. Let's see. Now he says that he'll fight anybody in the top 10, top 15 in the world in his next fight. Okay. Well, let's see then. As I said, there's Makhmudov right there. Why not? I'd definitely watch that fight. Would Top Rank risk it? I wouldn't have thought so. But, hey, you know what? Listen, at the end of the day, the whole point of this is you win some, you lose some. Sometimes you win ugly, sometimes you lose pretty. If I'm Jared Anderson, I'd much rather get the win the way that he did last night than dominate Charles Martin, bounce Charles Martin all over the canvas, and then ultimately get stopped himself. Win ugly is better than not winning at all. Okay? It is. And there's a lot to learn from. There is. Maybe it'll humble him a little bit. Maybe he thought that he was a little bit above what he really was. So now there's plenty to work on. Now, there is an argument, of course, where people will say, had this been a 12-round fight, Charles Martin would have stopped Jared Anderson. Obviously, a 10-round fight at the end of the 10th round, after on multiple occasions of hurt Jared Anderson, he had Jared Anderson all over the place. Jared Anderson was clinging on to dear life at the end part of round number 10. Had there been around 11 and around 12, there's a very real chance that Charles Martin would have got to him. But there again, we don't know. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. We don't know. But certainly, there's a lot to be improved upon. Will he be the next big thing coming out of America? Will he be the next Muhammad Ali? Will he be the next Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, and anyone else you can think of? Will he? Well, we don't know. 23 years old. A lot to learn. But overall, for the amount of fights that he's had, was his 15th or 16th fight? Not bad. He won. That's what's important, right? Anyway, drop your thoughts below, click on the subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.